My injury occurred during the birth of my first child in 2019. I had a forceps delivery after I was rushed into theatre for an emergency C-section. My baby's heart rate had dropped, and that's why I'd been rushed into theatre. But he then decided he wasn't waiting around, and forceps ended up being used. I sustained a missed 4th degree buttonhole tear, which then developed into a rectovaginal fistula. At the time, I didn't know that this had happened. I didn't start to experience symptoms until a few days later. The first symptom that I experienced was passing wind through the vagina. The following day, I started to pass stool through the vagina, and that was when I knew that something was very wrong. I immediately sought help from my local maternity unit from which I'd just been discharged. I rushed back into hospital. I underwent a few examinations, and then they discovered that I had this missed buttonhole tear, which had developed into a rectovaginal fistula. I was told then that I would need to have emergency colostomy surgery so that they could hopefully repair the tear and give it time to heal. During the colostomy surgery, they also were able to repair the rectovaginal fistula and buttonhole tear. I do suffer with some pain from time to time where the scar is. My recovery from the injury, I would say, is ongoing. I do have pelvic pain from time to time. I think time has been the key. Time has helped me to adapt to life with a colostomy. I would say the initial recovery from surgery took a few months, but it was probably a year before I felt like things had really started to settle down. It does take quite some time. I would say it's a marathon, not a sprint. I was referred to a pelvic health physio who was able to assist me with exercises because my anal sphincter muscle had been damaged too during the forceps delivery. So they were able to give me exercises to do at home, and also they were able to test whether the exercises were working. And just seeing somebody on a regular basis was reassuring and helpful. I also sought out help from the perinatal mental health team because I was traumatized by the birth and the subsequent events afterwards as well. I received EMDR therapy, and also I sought out private counselling sometime after I'd finished the EMDR therapy as well. It was really helpful just to be able to talk to somebody on a regular basis for a while about what had happened. I did seek out other women on social media and online who had also experienced what I had. I would say that was probably the most helpful part of my journey, was finding and connecting with women who'd been through the same experience I had. It made me feel like I wasn't alone. It was reassuring, especially to see those who were doing well, who were living well with a colostomy and also living well post-birth injury. Just being able to see that life can and does go on even with a birth injury is really helpful. So I'd say that, yeah, connecting with women who are similar to me has been the most helpful part of my journey, I think. I did go on to have another pregnancy in 2021. I gave birth to my second baby. The pregnancy was not straightforward because it was also with a colostomy. And I did experience some pressure and pain from the previous injury as well. But I had an elective C-section. There was no way that I was going to risk reopening the previous birth injury and, causing more problems there. But I actually had a really positive experience the second time, and I felt like, even though there was pain that came with the C-section and it was also a difficult recovery in other ways, I felt like overall I had a really good experience, really positive experience, and I was glad that I'd got to have a positive birth experience. In terms of support that was available to me, like I previously mentioned, there was my local health board's perinatal mental health team. But there are also charities like the Birth Trauma Association, the Masick Foundation. They've been incredibly helpful as well because they specialise in OASI injuries. They have access to specialists and a wealth of information in living with an OASI injury. So they've been great in terms of the way they deliver their information. They do seminars, online webinars, and they always have medical experts in their webinars, as well as ordinary people like me who are living with an injury. My advice to anybody who has experienced a birth injury would be to, first of all, talk about it to your family. A lot of people keep it inside. A lot of people don't even let their family know that they may have suffered a birth injury because it can be quite taboo still. And I think that it just helps initially just to make those around you aware that you're suffering, that you're not doing so well, and that you need help. Having that initial support can then help you to reach out to get the medical help that you need. A big side of having a birth injury is also the mental health aspect and how that affects you. And I would say that it's important to seek out mental health help if you're struggling. You don't need to suffer in silence. There's so many women out there who have experienced this and been through something similar. You don't have to suffer alone. You don't have to think that you're alone, because you're not. And it really does help to talk. It really helps to just reach out to somebody. And, if you're in a position to, you can seek out private mental health help. It doesn't have to be expensive. But I would first of all see if your local health board has a perinatal mental health team. I'll also see if they have a pelvic floor or gynae physiotherapist as well, because I think that they can really help a lot too.